What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of the Sunday League Screamers podcast. I'm your host of today's show, Steve McCutcheon, along with my one co-host, Vito Anazelli. We have another great show for you, but before that, please take a moment, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else you find your podcast. Also, give us a follow on Twitter at the SL Screamers_pod. Vito, my man,
What
how
up?
we feeling?
Feeling good, bro. I'm ready to do it. Champions League is back.
Yes. It interesting the first match week. Let's put it that way. A lot of interesting scorelines, some hell of a lot of fireworks in an Atletico game earlier today. I don't know if you saw the ending to that one, 3 goals after the 92nd minute. Bro, imagine betting the over, being so depressed the entire game, being like, "There's no chance. Why? I'm an idiot. And then all of a sudden, your phone just lights up 3 goals.
Yeah, I was at work and I was following it and I was like, it was like just vibrating. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, it's freaking crazy. And then actually, ironically, that was the last time that happened with 3 goals after the 90th minute was also their same exact game back in last year's Champions League in December.
No kidding.
Yeah, how weird is that one? So, fun fact for you out there, if anyone's covering some statistics. But let's head to the Premier League games real quick. We'll start off with the news and notes. Right, just go right into the Champions League. We have a lot to talk about. First big shock scoreline: Zakaria versus Chelsea, 1-0. The Blues fall.
Yeah, that was the nail in the coffin. I mean, it's no surprise that scoreline is on there. Of all the ones, I think this is probably one of the less surprising, just purely based on how Chelsea have been playing as of late. You know, we're both Chelsea supporters, as everyone knows. So I don't think either of us were shocked to see that. Got a couple cameos from some new players. Aubameyang got in the squad, but failed to really make an impact. Poor decision making in the first half. They had a chance to be 1 or 2 up going into the break, but needless to say, that was the exact opposite. It was 1-0 Zagreb on a beautiful counterattack, needless to say. But poor game from Chelsea, and not the way you want to start your campaign. I mean, that's really detrimental for a side they should be beating.
Yeah, just a little bit. Because on the other side, a team that Man City should be beating in Sevilla, they won 4-0 away. So slight discrepancy in terms of where the teams currently are at, I would say.
Oh yeah, that pretty much explains it all. That says more than anything else.
A little bit. Then today, scorelines: Napoli 4-1 over Liverpool and Spurs 2-0 over Marseille. Dude, what's going on at Liverpool, man? They just rough start to the year.
It's the defense, dude. It's, as much as the talk came about with replacing Sadio Mane, they obviously did a fantastic job in the likes of, still having Diego Jota. They have, Luis, and it's just not clicking. Like, even though he scored in that match, it's defensively the problems. I mean, for anyone who didn't watch the game, Liverpool gave up 2 penalties in the opening 15 minutes and were bailed out by Alisson on the second one with his penalty save. Even with that happening, they still lost 4-1. Joe Gomez got his pocket picked after winning the ball back. And that could have been converted as well if it wasn't for a goal line clearance. I mean, they're defensively just all over the place, which is, I don't know. I'm curious what your thoughts are here, but for me, it's not entirely unsurprising, knowing the fact that Alexander-Arnold and Robertson aren't the world's best defenders, to say the least. Their strength has always been in pressure, in attack, and running.
They're much more suited for a wing back than a back four situation. The center backs exposed. Van Dijk's getting up there in age day. I mean, obviously signing Koyate last year, or Konate, I'm sorry. To try to be like the next young guy in the lineup, solidifying up the defense a little bit. That hasn't really worked out. Gomez was injured last year. Maybe he's off the pace a little bit this year. I don't know if it's a tactics thing, if they should get a better center defensive mid in there to help cover them as well. I think they signed, what was it, Arthur? We probably get to that in a second.
Yeah, they had a loan deal for Arthur, and that was actually their second choice. They wanted Zakaria.
Yes, I don't even think he'd really be the one solving the problems either. I mean, we saw them get seriously exposed. What was it, 2 weeks ago in the midfield? And Klopp went on a spree. He's like, yes, the fans are right. We were wrong. We do need to beef up our midfield. I don't think that's a sign to do it. They have
the
I was on the weird one. What's up?
They have the talent in defense. Like, I don't think it's a matter of signings for the defense. I think it's a matter of them putting in subpar performances. Like, Chelsea needed signings in my book. They needed players to come in and make an impact. Liverpool have the talent and the players, the right personnel. I think they're just not playing up to that caliber in defense. They're not performing yet.
I'm like 50-50. I don't even know if it's the right people anymore. I don't know. It's a weird situation. I felt that when going to the season, I thought they were quite a step below Man City, and I'm starting to realize I feel like I was right in that one aspect too.
I think you were undersold it at that point.
Yeah, a little bit. Should be a stronger argument for it.
Too big to worry. Too soon to worry for them though. Too soon.
It is, but at the same time, to me, it's also not like you can't win. Like if we're just going back to the Premier League table, and for instance, you can't win the Premier League in the first 10 match weeks.
No.
But you sure as hell could pretty much lose one.
Yeah.
So
take that from
they gotta
Wrexham.
go on a serious run.
Did you take that from Welcome to Wrexham?
Oh no, did
they say the same thing last week in their episode? They get off to a poor start, and then one of the players goes, "You can't win the league in the first few weeks, but you can certainly lose it."
Oh well, apparently I didn't come up with that quote, everyone. So don't no copyright infringement.
Yeah,
we know Ryan Reynolds is listening.
I just sourced it. We're good.
Yeah, fair. Actually, it's on right now as we're recording, I think. So
yeah.
I definitely have to tune into the next 2 episodes. So, biggest news out of the Premier League, obviously, other than all the transfers that came in on transfer deadline day, Thomas Tuchel is now relieved of his duties at Chelsea post that loss to Zagreb, as we were just talking about. The 3 names on the short list: Graham Potter, Zidane, Pochettino. Any of them stand out to you as better than the other? It seemed, to my opinion, just from the reports at least, Potter seems to be the favorite. Obviously, with how amazing he's done, like how great he's done at Brighton, it makes sense, especially keeping him in England. Poch, great time at Tottenham. I feel like kicked out of PSG. Also, they didn't win the Champions League, so it wasn't really a successful stint in my book, considering he had the quality of players that he had. And Zidane, I think he was two stints at Real Madrid, plenty of Champions League titles.
Yeah,
it's an interesting scenario.
Yeah, look, these are tough. Like I think ideally, Potter is probably would be the main appointment there. Just knowing the history behind Pochettino and Spurs. I know you talk about managers in the Premier League going from team to team. I mean, look what Jose Mourinho did. Rafa Benitez did it. Villas-Boas did it as well. But I think the hatred between Spurs and Chelsea at the time of Pochettino's reign was a little bit different. So I can't picture Pochettino taking this job. Not to say he can't. I just don't see it. As far as
I think the hatred's still there.
Yeah.
I don't think it ever went away.
It didn't. As far as Graham Potter's concerned, I can't imagine him leaving just an absolutely soaring, no pun intended, Brighton Seagulls team. Like, I mean, they're just cruising right now. He has the backing of the board. He has the backing of the players, the backing of the fans. I don't see him leaving right now when things are going so well, especially this early into the season. So for me, that leaves only one viable. What?
That was the weird part to me. It was that Brighton even are allowing the conversations and talks.
Yeah, I would have to imagine his deal, number one, probably has like some ridiculous release clause or something to that effect, where, or they say, look, what he's done so far, like we like our chances to stay up and make a good push. We're not really looking for Europe anyway. So if we can make the money off of him now, like maybe that's a possibility. I don't really know what they're thinking, but I still don't think he's going to go. I think it'd be ridiculous for him to go right now. However, I don't know if you had a chance to read Chelsea's statement. They've only made one statement publicly, and they noted that they were moving swiftly to make an appointment as fast as possible. And this was going to be the last time they were talking about the matter. So by all sounds of it, they're trying to get this done. They're trying to get it done and quick. And based on Poch and Potter, Zidane sounds like the only person that would fit the bill at this point in time. However, whether he's willing to take it or not, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty big on Potter. I think he'd be a hell of a manager for Chelsea. People have to remember there's a massive jump from a club like Brighton, although they're definitely on the up and up, compared to a top 6 Champions League contender every year.
Champions League winner 2 years ago.
Exactly. There's a much different caliber and expectations, media-wise, player-wise,
play style,
everything. So when you see, like, for a perfect example, David Moyes takes over for Sir Alex Ferguson at Man U, goes from Everton to Man U. Decent jump in terms of that, probably relatively similar to what Brighton would be to current situation. Plummeted.
Yeah.
And we can see with Moyes at West Ham right now, not a bad manager, was great at Everton as well. Like, there's just something about like going from a mid-tier ascending squad to a perennial powerhouse in a sense. So
Yep.
I felt though the timing of this was extremely, extremely weird. You spent 300 million for this guy. And you didn't even feel like you had his. Well, first of all, the spending itself was so sporadic. There was no.
I don't think it was his signings.
Well, no, I'm just saying in general. Like, I don't know if they were on like Tuchel's like I want Koulibaly, and then like he was like now I want Aubameyang. Like it was just strange. But regardless, their transfer window, you spend all that money, then you tank the manager.
Look, I'm gonna go back to what they said in their post. If you get a chance to read it, they said they specifically marked like don't quote me on this. It's not direct, obviously, but they said something along the lines of under new ownership in the first 100 days, we feel this is a good time to transition. Like the wording of what they said in their public statement made it sound like they had been thinking and planning for this, that this was expected to happen anyway. And I think the results just was like, all right, we'll just do it now. Forget it. Because to your point, that was going to be my next question. Do you think this was a little bit premature? I mean, you're talking about a guy who went to 5 finals in what, 2 years, basically less than 2 years, wins the Champions League, the Club World Cup, and the Super Cup, and is now out when the rumblings, while they were there because of the performance, weren't nearly as loud as a lot of other manager firings over the years, especially with Chelsea.
So I have two kind of thoughts about the entire situation in terms of like that question. One was I foresaw this coming. We brought it up last podcast with Pulisic not being transferred. It felt like Bowley wanted to keep the player because he wasn't keen on the manager. There's also talks before the season even started if Tuchel was even staying. So like there was never 100% like we're doing this. It seemed off. It just didn't seem like they were together, whatever the case is. And then I'm trying to think the best way to word it.
Just say it.
No, it just you spend all this money. You don't. I can't even think of it. I'll be honest with you. I'm completely like losing my train of thought on it.
Yeah, it is what it is at this point. I think it's the right choice for Chelsea. I think it's the right choice for Tuchel. He was very rigid in his play style. He has all these signings, and he still had to go out and get more midfielders. It just feels like he was never happy, and the play style was not there for what Chelsea wants and what they are striving for. And I think it was time for them both to go their separate ways at this point.
Yeah, I think he lost the locker room, and that's what spoiled it so quickly. The second a manager does that, I feel like he did the exact same thing at PSG too. Bitched about not having enough transfer funds. He gets a nice big incomings. The locker room seems to hate him. He's out.
Yeah.
I feel like it was almost an identical situation to what he did at Chelsea. Like, dude, you have Ziyech hating him for game time. Pulisic. I mean, who else? Billy Gilmour. I'm not saying he was, perennial powerhouse, but like he was in everyone else's plans previously.
Yeah.
I truly, if I had to lean one way or another, I think he lost the locker room more than anything else. And then the second you do that, manager's out, new one's coming in.
Yeah, I think it's time. So we'll see what they do in the coming weeks. Sounds like we'll have more updates for this probably within the next 2 weeks, realistically.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. Heading over to some deadline transfer news that we didn't cover last week because we recorded too soon. Speaking of Billy Gilmour, $11 million from Chelsea to Brighton, potentially just not playing for Graham Potter anymore. Daniel James on loan from Leeds to Fulham. Then Zakaria to Chelsea on loan. Thought that was a pretty good move for them. Short of the back line a little bit right in front. Aubameyang to Chelsea for 13 million with Marcus Alonso also going the other way to Barcelona. Or to Liverpool for 5 mil. It only looked like was that a loan deal or just for 5 million?
Loan deal.
Okay, so they paid 5 mil for the loan.
I think so.
Okay, I thought I saw something like that. Dendoncker to Villa for 17 million, and then welcome back Willian to the Premier League on a free to Fulham, coming back to London.
Yeah, that one was a little bit of a shocker out of left field, huh?
Yeah, I thought he was done, man, retiring in Brazil and just kind of peacing out into the sunset.
Yeah, well, I thought the same thing about Diego Costa, and apparently he's going on trial for Wolves.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's not in contract, so he had a trial. I want to say this week. So we're recording on a Wednesday. I think it was tomorrow, so Thursday. That or it was last week, but either way, he's having it done. They're set to sign him as of 8 hours ago by the rumors.
I love that man in Blues jersey. You always had to be nervous as hell that he was going to get a red card, but my lord,
Yeah.
was he competitive? And he brought
Dendoncker.
everything you wanted as a striker.
Yeah. Do any
Besides
of those
pace, I
moves
mean,
surprise you that you listed out? Do any of those moves surprise you that you listed out?
um,
And do you think maybe the Daniel James move to Fulham is a sign of how well Aaronson's doing and how much Leeds trust him, that they don't need that extra backup player in that wide area?
that was going to be my most surprising of them all, because he was. I'm not gonna say he was a regular starter at the end of last year, even when Marsh took over, but he was in the lineup constantly.
Yeah.
So that was probably my most shock one, especially keep in league as well. So other than that, no. Aubameyang was talked about for a while. Zakaria to Chelsea. There was plenty of talks about a new defensive midfielder in there. A little weird in the sense of, like, we brought up Conor Gallagher. He was starting to play. Obviously, he didn't have a great start with the red card, but I mean, Conte's getting older. Makes sense. They needed a striker, and Aubameyang makes sense. Liverpool needed a midfielder. Made sense. I guess Dendoncker to Villa. I feel like he was fine at Wolves. I don't know if he was getting enough game time. I didn't pay that much attention to it, but
Yeah.
with how much they've spent, yeah. And I guess Willian was probably one of the shocks, just because it's like out of left field, really. Other than that, I mean, they could use him at Fulham. So, Anyway, heading on. Let's go to our Stars and Stripes section, where we cover all United States men's national team players across the globe for standout performances. First up, our man has pretty much been on here at this point, I think, for the last month.
I would say every week for the last month or so. Yeah, at least 4 or 5 weeks.
Josh Sargent, 83 minutes played, 1 goal, 1 assist, 78% passing, created 2 chances, and was man of the match again. I noticed, though, I don't think he played really up top as a striker in this one, because they did have Pukki starting. He was more on the right wing, right mid situation, and he still was able to score and create another one. So, in my opinion, I know he lost his chance back at early days of World Cup qualifying for Greg. He has to be a must call in for this camp.
Yeah, at this point, absolutely. I mean, I don't want to say he's the most consistent, obviously, just because this is realistically, we know it's kind of a shorter list this week because a lot of the players and their teams have lost within the last week overall, or played to draws, and they haven't made much of an impact. But P-Folk didn't even get game time in the last one. But this guy's on there every single week. I'm not a huge fan of Josh Sargent. I don't think that's a secret. But at this point, he has to be in the squad, at least for the last camp. See what he can do in the last game. I believe they play Japan in Germany, right?
They have 2 games. Japan's one of them.
Yeah.
And I think they play them in Spain. They play some. Was it No, not South Korea. India maybe? No.
I don't know. Regardless, he needs to be there for that. He needs to be there.
Might be Saudi Arabia.
It should be him, Haji, P-Folk, and Ferrara in the lineup, and one of them has to go at the end. That's it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think 100% needs to call. Do you think, though, playing in the championship and not technically a top tier league is going to impact anything on that?
I don't think so. I think when you look at the remaining strikers who you're talking about here, none of them are playing in top leagues. You can arguably say that the championship is probably the strongest of the leagues, stronger than MLS, debatably, obviously, but I think I wholeheartedly think it is. And you look at part of Pepe's now in Netherlands, who we'll get to later, and no one's playing real top level, top division football, really. So I don't think it's too much of an impact.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, P-Folk's probably the closest over in Germany, realistically.
Who just earned that move, and he's doing brilliantly. So outside of, you're right, outside of P-Folk.
All right, he's locked in then.
Yeah.
Next up, Eunice Musa, 90 minutes played, 2 assists, 87% passing, 3 chances created, 2 big chances, 2 dribbles, and also man of the match performance.
Yeah.
Reyna's healthy now. Also playing.
And he had 2 assists.
It was 2. Oh, yeah, the Champions League.
Reyna had 2 assists. Yep. Yeah.
What do you think happens in this midfield now, man?
I think you have to seriously look at playing they're going to play a 4-3-3, but I think Gio's going to be given freedom to roam a little bit. I don't know. It's good to have these options. I mean, these guys can't play now in the heat that they're going to experience. 100 degrees probably.
These stadiums are air conditioned. They're not playing outside.
Yeah, it's still gonna be hot as shit though outside. Like they're gonna be tired. The game's gonna be tightly packed together.
They say on-field temperatures are actually in like the high 60s, low 70s.
Wow, that's weird, but that's awesome. Regardless,
So
they're gonna need to rotate those
we'll see how
legs.
much it actually plays into it. I listen, just from reports. I mean, they can get there and be sweating bullets and be playing really 90-degree heat because the AC breaks. Who knows? But
yeah, I mean, it's still good to have those players. I imagine he'll probably be coming off the bench. I think Eunice Musa and Tyler Adams are locked up in that like kind of more defensive role, with McKennie be given the freedom to roam. And I think Pulisic and obviously Aronson at this point are just absolute locks in the wing. So bringing him on as a threat, like we did towards some of the later stages of World Cup qualifying, is going to be devastating. I think that's probably going to be his primary role unless he just comes out guns blazing.
And I mean, just from that one dribble he had against Mexico, he comes out.
Yeah, exactly what I was picturing, right?
He might. Then you got Weyer on the right wing if you want to move Reyna out there, but like
McKennie could even go float forward to that.
Yeah, it's a weird one, dude. We've actually never had options like this in our midfield.
It's fantastic. I love it.
Like ever.
The fact that proper footballing nation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough.
We're on the up and up. We're Brighton. We're on the up and up.
Yep.
Moving on. Last big name we kind of want to talk, or we got two more to go. Jesus Ferrara, 90 minutes played, 1 goal, 76% passing with 1 chance created in a 3-0 win. He's been on the score sheet a couple times, been on the list a few times as well. Yeah, I would say he's a lock for the squad. MLS guy. Greg knows him well. It's not really too much into that one. Yeah. And then most recently, we also had Pepe transfer to the Netherlands, as we said. Forgive me for pronouncing this one, to Groningen.
It's over in the Dutch Eredivisie, and it's a loan deal, just to clarify as well. So he went out. I think it's a good idea for him. I was very, very against his move to Augsburg last year. I thought it was a bad move. We saw the likes of Sargent when he went to a struggling
Bremen.
Who?
Werder Bremen.
No, the Premier League team. Who's he on now? Oh my God. Norwich. When he went to Norwich, he went to a squad. He went to a squad that is not going to provide him enough chances and not allow him to thrive and play to his ability, and it's going to hinder his growth. And I thought that was going to be the same thing for Pepe at Augsburg, and unfortunately, I think it was. So it's good to see him going out. I just worry whether or not this move's a smart move for him, because the club he moved to is sitting on 5 points after 5 matches in an, albeit admittedly not as great of a league. So if things keep going the way they do for that team, I think he might have just swapped one for the other. So we'll see. I still think it's good for him to get out of Augsburg, but it's still dangerous at this point.
I would consider it a really good transfer, actually, just because one, Augsburg, we knew he had no shot at. We all, I think, when the transfer happened, we were all like, cool, like we're happy he's going to Germany, but we were also all like, you really should have.
A little skeptical, yeah.
It wasn't skeptical of his ability. It was skeptical of his opportunity and chances that were going to be there. I rather him would have went to a Dortmund, trained with them, even played on their B team, and then occasionally got into the first team on Dortmund, I guess, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And be given a real chance to succeed, or perfect. Like if I had the primo opportunity for him, go to Ajax.
I swear to God, that was going to be the next words out of my mouth. My preferred move for him was a place like Ajax, not at a level of caliber like some of these other bigger clubs. Like Ajax is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I love watching them play. They're fantastic players. But that was a place that even if he wasn't playing, to your point with the Dortmund comment, he's going to learn so much more from that coaching staff and those players around him than he was ever going to learn at Augsburg.
Yeah. So I'm happy to be back in Netherlands. I think not back in, he's going there. I think it's a good move, and it's probably his only chance for regular first team football and possibly to get back into the World Cup's striker's position. Which
I think it's too late. So it's over.
Probably, but it's his best chance.
Yeah.
Realistically. Other than that,
14 hat tricks.
He had it locked up. He lost it. It's like everything. I mean, Sargent had a chance, lost it.
Yeah, he just a classic case of got off to a hot start. Everyone hyped him up, and then I'm pretty sure he didn't score for like the next 8, 9, 10 matches for the United States that he played. So
no, it wasn't that bad, but
it was a lot of games, a lot of appearances, not a lot of starts.
Maybe he had some assists in there too. Regardless. Anyway, let's head over to the Premier League. We got our weekly recap to cover all the games of the past weekend. There were some midweek matches. We kind of touched upon them last episode, but let's just start off with the weekend. First matchup, Merseyside derby. Everton 0, Liverpool 0.
Yeah. Yeah, a bit of a masterclass from Jordan Pickford there in that man of the match performance, like an 8.6 rating overall. Did extremely well to keep Liverpool out, who were admittedly the better side for the majority of that match, even though the scoreline comes back 0-0. But he made a couple of very crucial saves, including a low-driven shot to his near post, which he just barely got a fingertip on. Might have deflected it 3 inches, but enough to go off the post. So a really strong performance for him. And, Reds continue to slip there. I mean, with that Champions League discussion we just had over that midweek match, it's just not coming together for them. But I think that's a really big point for an Everton side that needs to get every point they can, especially against the big boys like Liverpool.
Agreed. So props to them at home. I mean, granted, it's like right across the street, but good for them.
Yeah.
Brentford 5, Leeds 2.
Yeah. Good match for Brentford. They just keep rolling away. Leeds went down, I think 3-0 pretty early on in almost pretty much the first half. And it looked like they were going to start storming back. They pulled it back to 3-2, but unfortunately for Leeds, like literally directly from the kickoff, almost 20 seconds after, not even, Brentford pushed forward and grabbed another one and made it 4-2 and pretty much put out of reach. I think the real big talking point for this match is a red card for Jesse March over there in like the 60th minute or so. Finally, a proper Premier League manager getting sent off. So popped his cherry, but an absolute masterclass for Brentford, scoring 5 past the Leeds side, which I think is a fantastic team.
Any concerns over Leeds? Obviously, after they had their really hot start, they lost to Brighton, drew at Everton, and had this bad result as well. Just a blip on the radar, or I mean, they're still sitting in 8th place. It's not like it's crazy. They have 2 wins, 2 draws, 2 losses.
Yeah, I don't think it's too much to be concerned about if you're a Leeds fan. I mean, they brought in so many players, and especially some top quality players into that side. It's always going to take some time to gel. But I think even in a match like this, where the scoreline is 5-2, I think they didn't play as badly as the scoreline reflects. Like, yeah, going down 3-0 is not great, but having the grit and determination to pull that back to 3-2 is still a good sign. So there's still a lot more to come from this side, and I expect them to improve and really build in that 8th place. I still have them finishing closer to 7th, maybe even 6th. So I'm bold with them. I really think this team is underrated.
Whatever you say, sir. Chelsea 2, West Ham 1. This game had a little bit of everything in it. West Ham obviously took the lead early. Chelsea fought back. Their second goal by Chilwell was goddamn beautiful.
Yeah.
But obviously the biggest talking point right at the end, the Bowen foul on Mendy. Dude, I'm with every West Ham fan. That was absolute horse.
Absolute nonsense. It's funny. I tweeted that at the on our Twitter account, and I was chatting with another. I think it was a West Ham fan. He's like, "This is bullshit," and I was like, "Take it from a Chelsea supporter. That was complete bullshit. Like, there's no two ways about it." For anyone who didn't see it, Mendy went down to collect the ball, but instead parried it away, and Bowen came in after he parried it and jumped over Mendy and lightly clipped him with his foot, to which Mendy started sprawling around and play acting. Scored the goal. Cornet scored the goal, which was initially given, and upon a VAR check, they ruled it off for a foul. But it was absolutely 100% not a foul.
So the only argument I could see being made towards it is by, like, if you went by the book and definition of what happened, it was technically a little later of a challenge on a goalkeeper, and you did clip him.
You clipped him as he jumped over, and then with his foot, though.
Listen, I completely get it. I'm not arguing for it. I'm just saying by the way it's written, you probably have to call it like that, unfortunately.
Yeah, so here I get it. I totally understand that. And if you're a West Ham fan, you'll also be lamenting the fact that about 5 minutes prior to that, Cornet had an open header at the back post, which he rang off a sidebar. Tough header moving away from net, but still one that should have been converted. But the problem is VAR is there to overturn clear and obvious errors. I understand most people are probably going to call that an error if you're on the side of it being overturned, but I don't think there's enough in it to overturn the goal still. Like, yeah, he touched him, but what happens if he lightly grazed his shirt? That's technically still contact by the letter of the law. You're going to overturn a lightly grazed shirt. Like, I think there has to be enough force into that to say you impeded the goal being scored. Mendy's on the ground, parried the ball and spilled it. He wasn't trying to collect it. He never was going to stop the goal anyway. So I don't see it being enough to change that over. I understand your point, but I still think it's ludicrous.
It was more, that one was a poor use of common sense not being used.
Yes.
Just straight up. And I'm assuming because he went to the monitor, he probably also slowed the film down. Saw the like if you take a picture of where Bowen's foot was on Mendy at the time of the challenge, looks completely like a foul. You watch that in full time, you know Mendy's completely faking it. He's been shaky as hell in that recently too for them.
Yeah. And he had the balls to turn down a contract this week too.
Yeah, well, apparently, he doesn't think he deserves a little bit more than Kepa. Yeah. All right, less depressing stuff. Newcastle 0, Crystal Palace 0. This one also had a winner ruled out by VAR. This one was not as nearly as egregious as the Bowen foul, but 38 total shots in this game, 15 on target, not a single goal. There was chances galore.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty incredible. 14 on target. Was it 15 on target?
Yeah.
That's a lot of shots to stop. And I mean, what a match. I mean, that's about, if you go look at the stat line for this game, that's about as evenly matched as a game can get. I mean, they're within 5 of touches, 599 against 604. They're within 3 of total passes of each other. And the possession is within 2%, basically, or 3%. Like, that is a close match. Are you surprised by that score line? Because for me, I think that Newcastle and Crystal Palace are incredibly well-matched teams, both very, very good this season. So 0-0 is only surprising in the sense of a tie that it's not 3-3.
Obviously for the game that they put on, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised by the draw. I don't remember our predictions, but I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure one of us had to have had that. If not,
I think I picked a draw for this.
The only thing I'm kind of surprised about is where they're both sitting in the table. I mean, Crystal Palace had an absolutely ridiculous start in schedule to the start of the season. I think they have like 3 top 6 teams, if not 4 of them. You play Newcastle that isn't technically one of them, but basically feels like one with the way their lineup is. Right? They have Man City, Liverpool, and Arsenal so far. Villa, Brentford, and Newcastle. So 4 really good opponents. I'm a little concerned with Newcastle, just with the 1 win and 4 draw situation. Like that game, I feel like they should have got 3 points. If not, I mean, I don't know. They had enough to at least potentially gain 3 points and they had the goal ruled out. They drew against Wolves, who's been struggling this year. The Man City game. So you see a Man City game like that, and you're like, holy crap, this team can compete. And then you go away to Wolves, and you're like, 1-1.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I think it's a little harsh because 2 of their draws are 1 to Man City, which I think if you ask anyone in the league if they would take a point off City, everyone's going to say yes. And the other's to a Brighton side, which is absolutely flying under Graham Potter. So at least 2 of those draws, I think, are actually just as good as wins because they easily could have. You could easily lose a game to Brighton. You could easily, obviously, lose a game to City. If anything, the Wolves one I think is a blip on the radar. But again, this Palace game that we're talking about now, that's a good Palace side, a very good Palace side.
Dude, like the fact that they have as many points as they do after what they faced, like we all picked them to be like, also you have Leeds as a dark horse. I have them as a dark horse to be top 10, if not even pushing for Europe later on. Do they get there? Who knows? I mean, when their schedule lightens up a little bit, I think you'll see them start moving up the table quite heavily.
Yep.
Moving on, Forest hosting Bournemouth, Forest 2, Bournemouth 3. Is this the first game with newly promoted sides facing each other? I can't remember now. Or did Fulham maybe? I feel like Fulham would have
Fulham.
Same thing.
Yeah, they might. I think Nottingham might have already played Fulham. I don't recall, to be honest with you. No, Nottingham. No, we're good. But regardless, Bournemouth, second win of the season for them, and what a win that was. I think that's a complete weight off the shoulders for every Bournemouth fan out there, and I mean they did it in stupendous fashion. Did you get to watch the match?
That was actually one of the few I could not get to this weekend.
What a match, dude. For anyone who didn't watch, obviously, Bournemouth went down 2-0 pretty quickly for the most part. And they stormed back in the second half. It was 2-0 at halftime, and they came out absolutely swinging and were able to nab that third and claim a win. And that has to be a huge weight of relief off the shoulders of Bournemouth fans, knowing that those are games you have to pull points off of. If you're going to stay up in the league, you need to win those games against newly promoted sides, and that's exactly what they did. So I think it might signal a turning point for that team, and hopefully at least they'll be saying, knowing that their lineup that is not going to get any easier in the coming weeks.
Do you have any promise for them still staying up or no?
No, I hate saying that. I really do, because I like Bournemouth. I enjoyed it when they were in the Premier League last. But this is a long season, and 9-0 losing to Liverpool and 3-0 to Arsenal and 4-0 to City. I know those are I know those huge teams, but still having to come back 2-0 down against Nottingham, it makes me wonder whether or not it was a fluke or this actually is a turning point. But it is still 4 points from 2 matches against struggling sides. So there still is hope there.
Gotcha. Heading over, we got Spurs 2 and Fulham 1. Their only losses are to Arsenal and Tottenham this year. They've drawn with Liverpool, Wolves, and they've beaten Brighton and somebody else, I think, Brentford.
Yeah. Look, I said about. Say it again.
How high up do you think? Like, I'm pretty confident in them being secured in the Premier League. I'm not out of all the 3 teams, I'm the easily least concerned.
Without a doubt. Before the season started, I said the exact same thing. I put Fulham. Remember last season when you guys were busting my chops about I had Newcastle before all the money, before the January transfer window. I had them coming in closer to 15th place, and you guys laughed. I said the same.
We were laughing, and we were laughing, and we were right.
Hey, you guys laughed at me when I first said it, but this year I said the exact same thing about Fulham. I think this side is a different type of promoted side. I think they're a team that if they were in the Premier League last year with the players they had still, I think they probably would have stayed up then as well. I think they're going to end up closer to 15th place, maybe even 14th. By far, I think you're 100% right. Least amount of worry with this side compared to Bournemouth and Nottingham Forest, regardless of the money Nottingham Forest has spent. How high? I still think 14 is where they should shoot for. I don't know if it's going to be possible to get to the top half. I still think it's too far out of their reach. But where do you have them?
Top half is they might enjoy some time there for a little while throughout periods this season there. I think that's definitely a possibility. Eventually, I'm sure they don't have the depth necessarily to absolutely push like that. But hey, I mean, listen, just like your Newcastle prediction, maybe they get a oil baron owner coming into the club and they got $300 million to spend in January. I don't know. So things happened, right? But yeah, I'm 14th. 13th place would probably be ideal for them. A comfortable finish in the Premier League, and stay there for a second season.
Yeah, I think if you're thinking about top half, if you're a Fulham fan, I think it's really going to be defined over the next 2 months. I mean, you're talking about 8 matches in that span, and that includes matches against Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Everton, and Leeds. You're talking about those games as being ones they probably could and should get points off of, including a match against Chelsea, who's floundering at the moment. So very, very big matches for them coming up. If they're able to nick wins out of half of them, or even 1/3 of them, I think you're talking about potentially a top half team.
Okay, interesting. Well, heading over, we have Wolves back in the win column. 1-0 victory over Southampton. Same thing, or not to the extent, but same thing roughly happened to them last year, right? They started off 0-3.
Yep.
All 1-0 losses, and then they started to get back on track. It sucks that they dig themselves into these kind of holes, apparently quite often, but you think they're back? Do you see anything to scare you off of them this year? What's kind of your take on them?
Yeah, I mean, the Dendoncker move to Aston Villa obviously didn't help. He was a pretty integral part of that team over the last couple of years. I know his playing time has been in and out last year, I believe it was. But they're not the Wolves that they used to be. I don't think talking about the top 7 or top 8 or maybe even top 9 is even going to be in the question this year. I have Wolves finishing closer to 11 or 12, to be completely frank. I think it's like Leicester. I think they just haven't done enough in the off seasons to really
I
cement.
feel like they got poached more than anything, right? Like they didn't really have many incomings.
They lost Connor Cody to Everton, and they just lost Dendoncker to Aston Villa. Those are two mainstays in that side for the most part over the last 5 years when you consider it, right? I just don't know. I don't have my hopes high for them.
Tough. What do you think about Southampton? I mean, they've had some interesting and good results this past year so far, or this year.
Yeah, I think they're the same case. They had a very similar start to last year where they were winning matches, right? James Ward-Prowse was just absolutely pulling points out of the bag by himself, and they got off to a decent start, but it's not going to last. It's not a sustainable team, honestly. So where they're at now in 12th place, I think is fair and probably where they're going to end up. But I initially had picked them to go down, to be honest with you. Sorry, Southampton fans. Yeah, I picked them. I'm fluttering on the cusp of 17 and 18 and eventually going down. But who knows at this point? I mean, Leicester has 1 point through 6 matches. So
understandable.
You think they stay up?
So I think they do. I truly think Nottingham Forest are coming down. I think Bournemouth's going down. And I said Leicester would be on the cusp of going down. Now I'm actually really strongly believing that I think they do. So
we'll see.
Yes, we will definitely see. The primetime game Saturday, Villa 1 hosting Man City. So Villa 1, City 1. This, one, Liverpool wished this result happened at the end of last season. But this was the type of game where City dropped points. You got to capitalize. Granted, obviously City played after Liverpool. Can't look at it that way. But in a sense that they both dropped points to inferior opponents. And if you're Liverpool, that's 2 points you could you could have just gained on them right back that you've dropped earlier in the season.
Yeah, that makes
concern for Villa or just a blip? Any concern for I said Villa, my bad. Any concern for City though, or?
Yeah, I think there is a little bit of concern for City. I think in the short term, there's a little concern for City. Thinking about how many, that's 2 draws, right? And they've been behind twice. One, I think 2 of them they came back to win, and one of them they came back to draw with Newcastle. So there is a little bit of concern there. But
I think themselves down early in many games. The Newcastle draw,
Palace, they were down 2-0.
They were down 2-0. It feels like a little different of a City team. Granted, when they're down 2, I've never been more confident team to come back and win.
Yeah. I think when you're talking about individual matches, there's a little bit of concern given how they've been playing, but the season's long and I don't expect it to number 1 last and number 2 to make enough of an impact that anyone's going to take the title from them. Especially considering what the next the match we're going to talk about 2 from now.
Agreed. Brighton 5, Leicester 2. We kind of just discussed the Leicester woes a little bit. Are you shocked Rodgers is still in charge?
No. I think he's done well enough for Leicester over the last couple of seasons that he deserves a little bit of time. Obviously, the matches have been atrocious from Leicester, but they easily could have gotten a point off Chelsea as well. They did not. He won't be in charge for long. Let me just say that. I don't think he's going to survive the year. I don't even think he's going to survive till Christmas. But I do think he probably gets enough time to get him a little bit closer towards the World Cup break. I don't think he'll make it past October.
If these results continue, absolutely.
Yeah.
But when you take into account the firing of Tuchel and where he was at, do you think it's just the players believe in Rodgers or the board just isn't,
No, I think the board has to look at it and go, I hope this is what the board's doing. I hope the board's looking at it and saying, we did absolutely nothing to help our team this year. Nothing. If anything, all we did was sell. They're the only club that spent £0 in the Premier League.
Really?
If you look at the money spent, I want to say the Premier League Instagram or Twitter or something posted it, and they had a big fat 0 in total spend.
You sure it wasn't just net spend?
Well, that's what I mean, net. I'm saying net. But actually, no, because I think that technically came out before the Fofana money came in. So, they would have been like negative 70 at that, positive 70 at that point. But no, it's the board's fault. what are you supposed to do when you're just continuously selling off players and players are aging and you're doing nothing to replace them? I mean, this is what happens when you don't reinforce a squad year over year. And unfortunately, that's the predicament Leicester's going to have to deal with for this year and maybe for the next couple of years, because if Leicester finished that low in the table, no European football, that was a big draw for them to get these players like Dendoncker and be able to keep players like James Maddison, right? And that's obviously not going to be the case this year.
So they have one incoming Wout Phase. I don't even know who that is, I'll be honest with you. 15 million from Reims.
Okay. Well, that was completely offset. So one incoming for 15 and they sold how much money? They made how much money? Granted, I know the Fofana came in at the wire.
Let's say, yeah, 70 for Fofana. They made like $1 million or $2 million off Schmeichel. And everyone else, I think, was just the loan or it was a release. So,
yep.
Weak window, man. Wow. I mean, that was yeah, I guess you're right. That was my main concern with them. So,
yep.
Bingo. And then the last result of the weekend, we now have no undefeated teams. Man U 3, Arsenal 1. Is Rashford back a little bit? Little brace action he's got?
I hope so. I mean, he's been getting a lot of shtick lately, obviously, because I think it was
lately.
Yeah. I had mentioned it, I think 2 weeks ago when he scored his first Premier League goal of the season. He hadn't scored one since January of 2022, so he was in a serious drought. But yeah, I mean, it looks to be like he's making his comeback. I don't want to get ahead of myself too soon. I mean, it's really 3 goals looks great, but they came across 2 games and it's early in the season. So if you can continue putting in strong performances. The only thing that really worried me was a little bit about his finishing. I want to say both of the goals he scored were deflections off the keeper going in. It didn't seem like incredibly clean. Well, actually, the second one was near post, but Man United has to have him back. They absolutely have to have him back if they want any chance of making a top 4 this year. Because obviously Anthony came in and made that assist. I don't know if you saw it, but a great first match for him.
Yeah, goal and assist, right?
Nothing from Ronaldo, and he's not really getting his minutes. Jadon Sancho is not going to score 15 goals for you this year, and Sancho has to be that guy for him. It's not Sancho, sorry. Rashford has to be that guy for him.
Fair. I mean, listen, man, you got absolutely crapped on in the beginning of the year, right? Lose 2-1.
Deservedly so.
Brighton. I mean, yeah, definitely so. But and then got routed at Brentford 4-0. Since then, they've beaten Liverpool, Arsenal, a Southampton team, and a Leicester. So, 2 great wins. Southampton, okay, decent win the way they've been playing. And then obviously Leicester, they were able to escape. Not saying they were all necessarily convincing. The Southampton one had some controversy with the McTominay handball. But regardless, got the win. I'm not saying they're back by any means. I don't want to go there.
They're just
do you think Ten Hag is just, starting to feel his way around the squad, everything about it? The Ronaldo situation's calmed down a little bit too, a lot less drama.
Yeah, absolutely. Lisandro Martinez has been an absolute revelation in that back line since he came in. He put in like back-to-back man of the match performances, and I'm pretty sure he saved them at least 2 or 3 points, but with goal line clearances here and there. So I agree with you. I don't think he's back, that they're back by any means, because as we know, Manchester United are like the definition of inconsistency, along with like Spurs and Leicester. But I mean, it's good signs. I think Ten Hag's moving in the right direction at a minimum, and it takes some balls to put someone like Ronaldo on the bench, and it's paying off. So he obviously knows what's going on. He knows what he has to do. So if you're a United fan, like if you're a United fan, how else would you have to look at that? Like other than to say he's not afraid to do what he has to do.
Very fair. What kind of tough decision that reminds me of? Bringing it all the way back to Ted Lasso when he benched Jamie Tart after he scored a brace in the first half.
Jamie Tart, yeah.
And guess what? Richmond went on to win that game 3-2. Roy Kent assist. Just saying, tough decisions make good managers.
Yeah, straight on.
Heading over to I guess just finish off the episode with the match preview real quick for the upcoming games. You cool with that?
Let's do it.
All right. First off, on Saturday, we got Fulham hosting Chelsea.
Draw.
I'm gonna go draw. Damn, you beat me to it. I don't want to be similar. Actually, no. Give me the sack bump. We call
sack bump. I love it.
Give me the sack bump. Give me a Chelsea dub.
All right.
Bournemouth hosting Brighton.
Yeah, I think
Tough
Brighton
not to go
continues their
Brighton here.
streak. Yeah.
Leicester hosting Villa. Interesting matchup near the bottom of the table right now.
Yeah,
Do you think
neither
either
side
team has
looks
enough to actually
particularly
pull off
good.
3 points?
I don't think so. I think this is going to be a draw as well. I think Leicester know they have to get something. They're at home, and Villa's not like astounding me with their performances. If anything, they've been subpar, and they're lucky to get a point off a City.
I'm torn between a draw and then like just Leicester with their backs against the wall as a win, but they look so bad, so bad.
Yeah, I think it's tough to call a Leicester a win given what we've seen in 6 matches.
It's the Premier League, bro. Gotta be.
I'm not saying it's not possible. Anyone can beat anyone on any given day, but I mean, the way that they look, you cannot possibly think they're gonna. That you can't give them the honor.
All right, fine, draw. Be no fun. Liverpool hosting Wolves.
Yeah, I think Liverpool's gonna bounce back. I'll take the Poolmeisters for this one.
All right, give me Wolves, or not Wolves, but give me a Wolves coming back. Give me a draw here. They fight out a point.
Okay.
Southampton versus Brentford.
Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one. It's gonna be a very interesting one. I think it's gonna be a week of draws given the matchups we're looking at. And I think this is gonna be one of them.
Okay. And then the primetime game on Saturday, biggest talking point. We got Man City hosting Spurs.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on a flight for this one. I am not happy about it.
Sorry, bud. Sorry about that.
Yeah, you're killing me, Steve.
Listen,
I would.
this weekend.
What's that?
We're taking down AC this weekend, so
yeah. I'm actually going to go out and say a Spurs win for this. Spurs beat City twice last year. One of the few teams to do that. I think they beat them twice. Might have been a draw for one of them. They definitely beat them once. But Conte's a tactical mastermind in these types of games, and I think it's going to pay dividends. I can see this running out as like a 2-2 match or a 1-1 match.
Okay, so what are you taking, a draw or are you taking the
draw?
The Spurs
draw.
Win? Oh, okay.
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, draw. I changed my mind halfway through it. I thought about it and I forgot.
I was leading up to like this whole thing.
Sorry.
Conte's a mastermind. He's gonna get this dub. And all of a sudden, draw.
Like, let me rephrase that. I think it's going to be a draw. And I think if no Erling Haaland, it would be a Spurs win. But no, Haaland's there giving me the draw.
Okay, yeah, Haaland is there, so give me Man City. Moving on to the Sunday games, Arsenal hosting Everton. I'm gonna bounce back game for Arsenal here. I think they right the ship, and
it's gonna be all Gunners.
Yeah, I don't know if Everton has enough to get a draw out of this one because they're definitely getting a win. West Ham hosting Newcastle. Interesting one. West Ham probably feels a little pissed off after the last game against Chelsea. Newcastle just grinding out result after result here. Ooh, a tough one. Either team have enough to actually grab 3 points?
Newcastle.
Give me a draw. Palace hosting Man U. I like this one a lot, especially at that being Palace at home.
I think it's another draw match.
Give me Palace win.
Ooh.
They need some points. Vieira's got them. He's got the boys. The troops are
got them.
They're doing well. Yeah, they're moving and grooving. And the Monday nighter, we got Leeds versus Forest. Assuming I guess Jesse Marsch got the red card, he's not going to be on the bench.
Yes.
So does that play a factor?
No, I think Leeds are too strong. I don't see them losing this game. I mean, at a minimum, maybe the draw, but I think they're going to be able to pull out all 3 points against Nottingham.
All right. I believe in the Americans, especially right Give me the Leeds. Any other final thoughts, though, before we end the episode?
I thought I had one, but I think I forgot it, to be honest with you. Like, you lost your train of thought with that Chelsea thing earlier.
Bro, I brain farted so hard.
I remember. I can see that. I saw the wheels turning, but nothing was coming out. No, just hoping for a little bit less of a VAR interference this week. We had a couple big ones that we didn't really fully talk about. Like the one with in the Brighton match, chalking off an absolute worldie. So I'm just hoping for a couple straightforward open play matches without too much interference.
All right, gun to your head. Who's the new Chelsea manager?
Gun to my head?
Yes.
None of the 3 we said.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I don't think Zidane will go. I don't think Poch will go, and I don't think they'll be able to get Potter.
Interesting. I feel like from the reports I read, I feel like Potter's a lock at this point.
We'll see.
All righty, sir. Interesting. Do you have a name then?
I don't off the top of my head. I haven't had a chance to really think about it. I was working all day. and then came right here.
Head just got blown off then. So
yeah,
you feel it.
I thought it was a joke when I first woke up, and I was like, "Oh shit, okay."
Yeah, I got the alert and I was like, not surprised, but like also,
yeah,
it's like 6 in the morning right now, so I'm a little just still dazed out.
Yeah.
That'll do it for this episode of the Sunday League Screamers podcast. Like, comment, hit the bell, subscribe to us on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else you find your podcasts. Also, give us a follow on Twitter at the SL Screamers_pod for daily tweets about the show, the Premier League, United States men's national team. I'm your host, Steve, with Mike and Vito, signing off.
Just Vito.
Not Mike and Vito, with Vito. Wow. Don't read off the script,
Forget
that guy.
Mike. Later, guys.
Peace.